Let me just show you who I am. There we go. And joined by Reverend Yo today as well. And very happy and blessed to have a wonderful guest today, Reverend Bill Cruz from the Bill Cruz Foundation. So we'll be having a bit of a dialogue session with Bill. So if you have any questions, queries about Bill's work or especially about his new book, which, well, hang on.
I can't see.
There we go.
There you go. It's the man.
There's the book.
It's the book.
12 rules for
12 rules.
Living a better life. And let's start off by acknowledging country. So since we're planetary-wide, let's acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and New Zealand, and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. And we pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. And, you know, I'd just like to add it's good for us to pay attention, I think, to the learnings that we can find out from Indigenous culture. Thinking about Kanyini, thinking about deep listening, thinking about 12 rules for making law, and of course teachings about country, the voice of country. How is it that we can tune in to what country is calling us to do and how to live? So the workshop topic today is community care, and certainly Bill will be telling us about that. And so we'll be interactive from the start, so we'll have more of an open discussion this time around. And just to let you know, the Nantien 2030 campaign is a spiritual and environmental community of practice. It's one of the initiatives of the spiritual and environmental preservation practice. And we're aiming to put into practice keeping the planet livable for all, and by step transitioning our daily lives to viable human living. We also hold a study group and have a fast path for getting into action in daily life. And just while we're thinking about Mother Earth, let's listen to a poem by Dr. Rachel Wu, who previously has played some music for us in our sessions on the Gujang, and today she's reciting a small poem for us. Here we go.
Mother Earth. Mother Earth gave us trees so we could breathe, plants and life that cure us from disease. She gave us all that we ever need, yet never enough for our greed. Let Mother Earth for once be proud again by honouring her creation, which we vow to defend.
Short, sweet, and to the point. So let's kick off with a short check-in with Reverend Yo, just a couple of minutes. We might have been rushing around, being busy, and here and there, and just by checking in for a couple of minutes, then we can settle in and then get on with the job.
Thank you, Tom. Because everyone's been rushing this morning at the markets, or whether you've come from afar, maybe it's time to take a few minutes just to settle our body and our mind in wherever we are. So if you're online, thank you very much. And those people who made it to the Nantien Institute, very warm welcome. So let's take 3 minutes just to take a deep breath, going in, deep breath in, and breathing out. Breathe in again. Breathing out, allowing our body and our mind to settle. Breathe in again. And breathe out. It's going to be a very short, mindful check-in, allowing our mind and body just to stabilize. Feel yourself sitting on the chair or the cushion, wherever you are. Breathe in, breathe out, and just letting go for a minute or two. Letting go in body and letting go in mind. Just to empty out all the busy thoughts. Empty out any unnecessary feelings that you might have. Making room for positive connection, making room for harmonious interaction. Breathe in, breathe out, and relaxing. So when you open your eyes, open your ears for some exciting interaction with one another. So when you're ready, open your eyes, open our ears, and we'll open our mind. Thank you very much. So welcome everyone, those online and those in person. So today we are very honored to be able to invite a very special guest, one of Australia's 100th National Living Treasures, also named as one of Australia's 100 most influential person. He is a Uniting Church minister, Reverend Bill Cruz, a broadcaster, an author, and he was also awarded an Order of Australia in 1999 for his work with disadvantaged people.
What do I do now?
Can you hear us? It's an introduction for you, Bill. He is the most selfless person I know in Australia. Bill has given over 3 million
On the drive in the weekend over an accident.
to the poor and homeless, and taught thousands of underprivileged kids to read and break free from the poverty cycle. In his earlier life, he worked at King's Cross with Ted North and started the crisis center that still exists today. He moved to Ashfield and started the soup kitchen called Loaves and Fishes years ago, and fed thousands of homeless people, especially even today, right through the pandemic. The Exodus Foundation that he founded some years ago, and he thought and became a Uniting Church ambassador. Risking his life, he went to Calais, northern France, to help the refugees. His humanitarian work was recognized and widespread beyond Australia. So in his world, he deals with people from all backgrounds and religion. He does not judge them. In his words, he said, the words of Jesus, Buddha, and Mohammed went into his bottomless well called human existence and then came out. So people who go deeply into religion, their religion, come out of religion with a huge respect for other religions. So these are all very touching. It says that all these teachings touch everybody and it's universal. So Bill Cruz said that he's a doer. I'm not sure if everyone's a doer, but he certainly is a doer. He said he's grateful every day. We do our best and we say yes more often. When you do, the universe will come and meet you in a strange and amazing way. So Reverend Bill Cruz is one of the most authentic and genuine person I know. So if you wish to know more about Reverend Bill Cruz, get his book. See, the 12 Rules for Living a Better Life. So it's really very wonderful and nice reading. It's so light, you know, it's a very easygoing. It's like he's having a chat with you. So anyway, without further ado, I'd like to welcome Reverend Bill Cruz.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. I don't know. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
And welcome, everybody. Welcome. I thought I might start by saying that when lots of people believe at our very core, there's a diamond. You know, there's a diamond called Bill, or a diamond called Jane, or a diamond called Essay. All of us, if we go right back to look at ourselves, we will find who we truly are. But the reality is we are at our core like a rope of fibers, which are all coiled up together, so that we've got our DNA, we've got our relationships, we've got our relationship with the environment, all of that. When you get right down to the core of who we are, there's kind of a question mark, because it depends who we're talking with and who we're relating to at that moment as to who we are. And that says we are all communal beings. And that says that, or to me, it says that if we're trying really to find out who we are, yeah, we can spend a bit of time on a mountaintop contemplating our navel and doing all of those sorts of things. But we actually, who we are is in the hurly-burly of life and in the hurly-burly of our relationships. And what I've noticed is the more that I do meditation and the more I go into those spaces, those meditative spaces, the more I realize that the more intimate it gets, the more it's surrounded, this is for me, by an aura of loving kindness. And the core of all that is in our world is really loving kindness. And often we don't see it. We don't see it in the loving, kind acts we do to one another or with one another every day, because there's so many of them, and we are in a environment where there's so many of these loving, kind acts go on, we don't notice it. But if you go to the hellholes of the world, the acts of loving kindness just stand out. And that's where we actually see that loving kindness is real. It's real, and it's ingrained in us, and it's more important in us than anything else we do. I began this work. I ended up in King's Cross in 1970, and I was just overcome by the numbers of homeless and runaway children and people in trouble. And a lot of things that were going on, I felt in the back of my neck, I felt they were wrong. They're wrong. But what I found was, in lots of ways, people didn't want to do much about it, particularly with kids. I've taken a lot of them now, they've grown up, to the Royal Commission because they were being abused in facilities and all of that sort of stuff. I've just taken them. And I found that in lots of ways, a lot of our society is founded on lies, just lies. And society wants to hold on to the lies at any cost, so that people who show these up, society turns on them in lots of ways. And one of the lies is, if you work hard enough, you'll get somewhere. Well, tell that to an Aboriginal kid in the Northern Territory whose parents are alcoholic, you know? Tell it to some homeless kid who's been abused in a refuge, or tell it to some refugee running away from the wars in Syria and all of that. So that loving compassion demands we do something for our fellows, our fellow human beings. Loving compassion demands that. But in doing that, it has an effect on us. It actually changes us. We provide probably 1,000 meals a day to people who really need food, and that's through our Loaves and Fishes restaurant and from our food vans. And I say to the volunteers, this is going to change you. And they say, no, it won't. No, it won't. I'm here to help the world. It won't change me. And of course, bang, something happens where somebody with all their neuroses and all their problems walks in, and the person who's helping sees themselves in a mirror and then they change. So that it's a two-way thing. Loving compassion, doing loving compassion is a two-way thing. It cannot but help change you. It cannot. It just does. And when you get involved in community activities, don't expect just it just to be you giving largesse to whatever. It will come back and it will bite you. And the more it comes back and bites you, the better, because it gives you an opportunity to look at your life and look at the lies that you hold dear in your life that are not really true, if you get what I mean. So that, and this is often why it's so hard, because people don't want to kind of face themselves. And yet, over and over and over again, all the religious practices, all of them, tell them to face yourself. The first part of liberation is to face yourself. If people ask me, of all the 12 rules that and actually there were 25, but we squashed them down. Of all the rules, to me, the most important one is the truth will set you free. And it's very, very hard, because that's a continuous process. Because the more you let go, the more you see, and the more you let go, and the more you see. And it's hard work. Being open and honest and truthful is hard work. But the outcome of that as well is loving compassion. So that a lot of people start off by helping the other. Then they realise they need some help and they go into themselves a bit. And then they come out and they start helping the other. And then it goes like that. And it's amazing the sorts of things that happen. We run a return to work program where we've taken young people and they do a certificate in hospitality. They get a certificate too in hospitality, and we've got a coffee shop where they work, so they become baristas as well. And one of the young fellas we've got there, he'd had a really troubled life, you know, and as he's learned the course, like it's been a lot of hand-holding all the way along, but as he's learned the course and he's learned to become a barista, and he's learned he can now go out and be a chef in a restaurant and all of that, I say to him, what does this place mean to you? And he says, everything, everything. And of course, his past starts to catch up, you know, so that we suddenly find he was in trouble a few years ago and he's got some court fines and we sort them out. And gradually his life gets together. It gets together. There was one young boy in Darwin, Aboriginal boy, we were teaching to read, and he couldn't read. He just couldn't read. And we got him into the program by saying, if you learn to read, you'll get your driver's license, you know. And it was hard work teaching him to read. And there was a sign over the door of where he went in to teach, to learn. And one day he looked up at the sign and he goes, work room. And he started smiling and everything. And he started reading all the way. And then one day he says to me, I've just realised I can go to university if I want. And you think, glory be. So that community work is vitally important. People say, oh, I just look after my family and that's enough. Well, yes, it's enough, but it's not enough, because where does your family end and the community begin? When two of us are talking, where do I begin and you end? You know, we suddenly see we're all interconnected and we better help one another, because if we don't, we're all going down the train together. Just all of that, mate. I'd love a bit of feedback on that.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. Yes.
But it's hard work. That's the difference. It's hard work.
I think it's hard work is because a lot of people, Bill, they wouldn't want to face themselves. And when you think you're trying to help them, they think that you're picking on them, because they look at that mirror and say, oh, I don't like this. You know, is this person picking on me? It's kind of like they can opt out if they say they don't want to do it and you're picking on me, I can run away, I can go away. So it's their
That's right.
And so that's why you find that when you're trying to help people, they attack you.
Yes. What I would say to that was, we had a meeting here a few years ago and there was a young woman and she said, I don't know, she said, I came from a really good home. And I found myself in the middle of the night, one night in a public park, shooting up heroin with public toilet water. And she was talking about that. And I thought about the shame and all of those sorts of things. And I thought, gee, she's brave. She's out there and she's saying all this stuff about her life. And then I realised it's just another story. Most of our secrets are just another story. And when we realise that our secrets are just another story, they lose their power over us. And I was thinking a lot about that this is why people get so angry, because they don't want to face their secrets. And And it takes a long time for people to realise that all those things they held because they didn't want other people to know are just stories. They're just, if a woman can get up and say, I've been in a public park shooting up public toilet water in front of hundreds of people, it's just a story. We can't even get up and say, I hate my brother, or I'm angry at my sister. We can't even say stuff like that. We can't even say, my family is crazy. You know? We can't even say that because it's such a secret. But everybody knows. Everybody knows everybody else's family's crazy except theirs. You know? Everybody knows. And we hold these lies in. And these lies, in the end, paralyze us.
Yeah.
And that's what I've come to realise so much. And the only way, a way is to be a source of loving kindness while people go through these issues. When my first marriage broke down, I was just gutted, you know. Like, what a shame. My marriage busted up. What a shame. And I was sitting on the steps of where I lived, just feeling gutted and feeling alone, you know. And one of the street alcoholic Aboriginal people I knew, who was one of the stolen generation, Cliffy, and Cliffy and I had gone back. He was a street person and I really loved him, you know. And he came lurching out of the gloom and he goes, oh, mate, he says, oh, mate, I've heard what happens and it's terrible, mate. And he sat down beside me and he said, I've come to sit with you. And he sat there and he'd still be sitting there beside me 40 years later, still be. And I thought, I can never pay you back for that. That's what I mean, that just being a loving presence beside people while they work through their issues is a powerful way to go. And the other thing I've learned, and this comes straight out of Christianity, the other thing I've learned from St. John's Gospel, where it says, we can only be signs that the world can be better. We can only be signs. We can't change the world, but we can be signs that the world could be a better place. And that's your temple and your people. We're all signs of what the world could be if we all wanted to get rid of our lives and move on, if you get what I mean. We can be signs so that it's not up to us to actually change the world, which we can't do. But if I'm with that young boy who now realised he could go to university, for him the whole world had changed. He was looking at a whole different world to the world when he first came in, you know, and that's what we can do. We can change the world for people.
And Bill, as you say, you know, it's hard. I'm just curious to think about how is it that we can approach that challenge, that difficulty?
Well, it's just there. It's just there. It's just there. Accept it. Accept that it's hard. Accept it.
Accept it.
It's very hard. Like, we like to believe Australia. You look at the Middle East and you look at all the awful things that are going on in the Middle East, and we like to judge all of that. But look at the way we've treated refugees or our Indigenous people. You know, I talk a lot on 2GB about how we've treated, about Aboriginal reconciliation and all of that.
Yeah.
And I just get a lot of hate mail back. But it's sooner or later, people will respond, and they respond in strange ways, because people will say to me, oh, you know, bloody refugees, you know, and then I'll tell them about Omar, who's lost his leg, and he's got a dear little girl who's really sick, and the mother is dying with cancer, and all of these sorts of things. And they'll give me everything, you know. They'll give everything. And yet refugees, no. But Omar, oh, he's different, you know. Like, and so it's continual. And it's also in us. We've got these preconceptions, and we have to break them down all the time. We have to confront them all the time, because they come creeping in, you know. They come creeping in. And that's why I do a lot of meditation, because it allows you to recalibrate, you know, allows you to recalibrate.
I just, Bill had a question. Like, I do a bit of community work myself in terms of my job, and I don't find it hard looking after lots of other people. However, Bill, when you've got family members who are not very nice to you, and they are your family, and they continue to be your family, how do you show loving kindness when they don't show loving kindness back? I know you need to meditate. I know you need to forgive. I know you need to turn the other cheek. However, they continue on and do things. And, you know, like it is, that's where the challenges are. And it's not so much with other people. It's easy to be nice and kind and do nice things for others, whether it be at work or other people around you. But when it's your family, it's a different story. And they keep on going again and again, not being nice.
No,
Well,
I think
all I can say to that is Jesus's brothers and sisters thought he was crazy. If you read the Bible, you'll see over and over again, he's crazy. He's crazy, they said. And other people said nothing good will ever come out of Nazareth, you know. And when I left to join the Wayside Church, I was an engineer, and I was doing research into solid state single crystal silicon. And my parents were really happy because I had a good job and all of that sort of thing, you know. When I left that to go and work in King's Cross, they disowned me.
Yeah.
Like, it's the way of the world. Suck it up. I don't mean it like that. Suck it up, you're on the right course. And I'm not being, that's a bit brutal, you know, but
That's why I came.
what I'm saying is part of our learning is not to be sorry for ourselves, you know, that often I've found in interactions with people, I will adopt the mood of the people rather than just having my own mood and letting other people adopt that. You know, if you kind of say, well, Buggy, I'm doing this anyway, they have to either come on with you or change. What I'm saying is try and turn the anxiety you feel onto them, because that's where the anxiety is, because they're trying to punish you for making them feel anxious. And it's their anxiety, it's not yours. Do you get what I mean?
Yes. So how you look at it.
How do you?
How you look at it.
It's how you look at it too, it's your view and how you look at it. It's just that it's much tougher, I think, to do that loving kindness in practice to the closest ones than it is to other people.
It's very tough, but nobody says it's easy. See, one of the lies of this world is that you know, if you meditate, I'm putting it this way, like lots of Christians believe, if we believe in Jesus, everything will be lovely, but it's not. And the world is not fair. The world is not fair. It's not fair. We just got to suck it up that it's tough, you know. It's not as hard as the Germans were on the Jews, say, and it's not as hard for us as the Chinese are on the Uyghur people, say, but things are not, there is this, see, that's one of the lies of society, that the world is fair. And if you do the right thing, the right things will come back, but they don't. They don't. And yet, see, something in us tells us that I'm sure I'm saying something in us tells us I think what I'm saying is right, but it's hard. You lose it. Like, and the world is really hard. This happened to me the other day, right? In my book, I talk about how my brother was brutally killed.
In an accident.
I'm sorry, I just left someone keeps ringing, but I'll fix it. My brother was brutally killed in a motor car accident. And he and I had just made up after a long time, and we'd become good friends. And 3 days later, he was killed in a brutal way. And I was devastated, just devastated. And I was running around the back blocks of one of the suburbs like a chook with its head cut off, trying to deal with the issue. And I ended up in a church talking to the minister, and that minister was worse than hopeless. Worse. I ended up walking out of that feeling so angry and hurt. It was terrible, honestly. And I've never forgiven him. And the week before last, I was telling that story on the radio, and I was so angry. I came out feeling so angry, you know, and I had to come back here and work, and I was still feeling angry. And I was walking home at night feeling really, really angry, you know, and this guy comes in a white shirt, comes lurching out of the darkness. Bill, I'm so glad to see you. And I'm so angry. I'm thinking, yourself, you know, go. You know. He came up and he kept coming up to me and he goes, my dear brother. And I stopped. And he says, the police rang yesterday to say they'd found his slippers, his shoes at the top of the cliff. And just now they've rung my mum to say they've found his body. And he goes, my dear brother, I've lost my dear brother. And he was like feeling like that. And it just went. And I thought, I'm not going to be like that bloody minister, you know. So I grabbed him and held him. And we got closer, and he sobbed and he sobbed and he sobbed and he sobbed. And I held him, we held each other for a long time. And he said, after a while, he said, it's all right now, I can go and talk to my mum now. I said, good. And I didn't know what to do to end it. And I did the stupidest thing. I gave him my card and I said, if your mum needs someone to do a funeral, I'll do her funeral. I didn't know what to say, you know. And I saw him 2 or 3 days later, and he said, "Thank you, mate. Thank you. It really helped." And what I'm trying to say is, if you step out into the community, what the universe throws back at you is often your own problems. Just suck it up. Just suck. That's all I can say. But life is really hard, and it's cruel. It's cruel. A lot of the people who come to me, it's cruel. They somehow have been born where all the things have gone wrong in their lives. Everything's gone wrong, and it's not their fault. Some of it is, but you know, the things we think are going to make us feel better really don't. You know, they really don't. The only thing I can see is this continual meditation and continual cleaning of yourself, you know, and that then opens you out to others, and that then enables you to deal with other people's hurts and pains, because you can be like Cliff, sit beside them and not be afraid of the issues that they're going through.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. I really concur with that, because there is a saying to say that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. You know,
Yes.
life is our greatest teacher.
Yes.
You never know what is thrown out at us, you know, but I guess that these are lessons that we need to learn, you know. So the more we learn, we overcome this, and then more will come at us, because we are able to handle it. So,
Yeah.
so don't be afraid of problems. They're not problems when there is a solution, and there is always a solution.
It will come.
Yes,
it will come.
It will come.
Yeah.
It will come.
Yeah. Yeah. And people think we know. People think we have all the answers, and we don't have the answers at all. Our problems are just as bad as everybody else's.
Like you said, you know, it's a mirror. So all the issues that people throw at us, there is something in us that knows that we too have that problem. We too have those issues. And how do we overcome it? Is to face it. You know, like
Yes.
you said, suck it up. What we say is that we have to face those issues. You can't
Yes.
escape and run away from it. We just
No.
need to face it. And when you are ready to face it, like you said, accept it. And you will be able to think of the solutions to overcome it.
Yes.
So I 100% agree with you to say the meditation is so important, because it gives us clarity of mind. So
Yes.
when our mind is clear, it's no longer an issue. We can see where it comes from, and all we need to do is to trial and error. You know, no one have all the answers, but if we try it, it might work, it may not work. But if it doesn't work in plan A, we go to plan B. We don't have all the answers, but we do our
No.
best.
Yeah. I was really moved one day. I was with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and I saw this monk fall to his feet and kiss his feet. And it's interesting. I'm sorry, I'll get back to that. The stories in the Bible, I go to Dharamsala, and there are people who spend their time in the temple there praying for the world all the time, which is written in the Bible as well, you know. And I said to him, I said, who are you? Who are you? Because people would die for you. And he said, I am the teaching. I am the teaching. And I could look right through his eyes to the Dharma, you know, and at the same time, I was kind of looking right through Jesus's eyes to his vision of the kingdom. And it was really moving that life is hard. Life is hard. And we've got all the teaching, all the teachings there. We just haven't listened to it, you know.
Well,
Great, so.
thank you very much.
Yeah,
Bill.
thank you, Bill. I know you have another meeting to go to.
Yeah,
Thank you. I hope that's been useful.
yeah.
Most definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm really honoured. Thank you.
And
Anytime you want me, I'm there.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
Please,
you.
please send our greetings and best wishes to the Tiananmen group.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank
Yeah,
you.
our thoughts are with you and with them. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, and our friends online and our friends here, it's been a great pleasure to have Reverend Bill Cruz sharing with us his very passionate, life. He's all for the community. So he always tried to do the right thing, even though it's against his church or against the so-called those hierarchy rules, but for him, he's a very selfless human being. And yeah, so
perhaps we can have a discussion now.
Yes,
Breakout
we have
rooms.
discussion.
And Jane is mentioning it seems the more we give time and care to others, the better we feel. And recognising suffering in life, unconditional positive regard is essential for work with others. For me, it is when I considered my life as a journey of service, I can find more meaning in life. We're all interconnected. Bill's talk is thought-provoking. Life is hard. It is so true. That's why we need more loving kindness to change the world to be a better place. Jolly good. So thank you so much, everybody. And just a little reminder about what's coming up. For our next workshop, once again, we'll have a wonderful guest, Dr. Glenn Albrecht, on the 3rd of July. He was my professor when I was studying sustainability, which I finished in 2014. He's just released a book this year, Earth Emotions, New Words for a New World. His fundamental studies about philosophy. So he's been coining words to help us be able to describe what's going on and how we're feeling about the situation at the moment, the Anthropocene, and also on the good side about words and descriptions of how we can live in the Symbiocene, where we live human and planet symbiotically. You may very well have heard of the word solastalgia that he coined. I think he started using that in 2014. And just recently I've been reading his book and I'm starting to say things, well, oh yes, sometimes I feel eco-paralysis because, the problems are so big, or feeling overwhelmed, or it's too difficult, or whatever, so I get a bit of paralysis. But then where I'm reaching for, what I'm feeling is solophilia, which is this feeling that I want to be able to contribute to the situation and practice the situation. So book that in. And now we'll close. Back to Reverend Yeo.
Yeah, thank you once again for joining us on this session. And I hope you all have a safe journey home and continuing the good work that you're doing, giving out lots of loving kindness and compassion, not to just your friends and neighbors, but to the whole world. We all need it. Thank you so much. So may kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity pervade all worlds. May we cherish and build affinities to benefit all beings. May chant, pure land, and precepts inspire equality and patience. May our humility and gratitude give rise to great vows. So thank you. The word chant means meditation. Yeah. So thank you very much for joining us.